For this part of our journey, we turned off at Hurleston onto the Llangollen Canal and slowly made our way to Llangollen, including over the beautiful Pontcysyllte aqueduct.
So this is the start of Llangollen. Right at the very start, you've got locks. Had a terrible time turning around there because there was a side wind. Nearly crashed into that boat at the side, and then getting into the lock was pretty difficult. And to cap it off, we've got two more boats in front of us going up, and I don't think there's anybody coming down, so it's going to be a slow rise up this flight. So we're just coming up the last lock of the Hurleston flight. They're very deep locks, and we've come up quite a way. Probably can see how high we've come up. It's a bit deceptive. A very slow crawl up because there's lots of boats in both directions.
We're on the Llangollen. A new canal to us. I remember looking down the turnoff the first time we went on our narrowboat holiday and thinking, oh, that just seems like a really long way to go to have to come back the same way. We don't tend to do outbacks, but now we are. And we've already commented that tick over feels really slow because there's a flow on the Llangollen going against us going this way, so obviously that will help us when we're coming back. Bit of a slow old crawl up the Llangollen today. It's busy. It is quite busy actually, isn't it? There's quite a few boats going in the one direction, so it takes a while for them to go through the locks and then reset it again for the next boat. There's also been a couple of single-handed boaters, which always happy to help, but obviously that slows things down a little bit more as well. And there was also a lock with a broken paddle, which slowed things down a bit further. So I don't think we've travelled many miles today, but we've been on the canal for quite a few hours. Lucky, it's so pretty. At Grindley Brook locks, just outside Whitchurch. There are 3 locks to start with, and then there are another staircase of 3 after that. So we'll moor up down the bottom and see what's happening.
I'm just entering the lower chamber of a staircase lock. It's a staircase of 3. So you go from one chamber to the next chamber to the next chamber. And it's a quick way of rising up the hill. Hello. Multitasking. Oh yeah, sure. I'll close the gate for you too. See, there's a very, very big gate in front of me. So now I'm just about to move into the middle chamber, having risen up the first lock.
the Llangollen, where we've been moored up for a couple of nights, which has been lovely. Now, heading back out onto the main canal. Be able to see a stop sign in the distance, possibly. Got another lift bridge to do. That's pretty typical of the lift bridges, but that one's interesting because it actually sits on the water, so when the cars come over it, it kind of bobs down on the water a little bit. Must be quite weird to drive over.
It's called a roving bridge.
No, that one's not the roving bridge, the next one. Yeah. Up on another embankment here. With a really well maintained towpath for once. We're very close to Wixel Moss, which is apparently a raised bog rich in floral and insect fauna, including mosquitoes. I haven't spotted any yet, but there were certainly some cars of walkers that we saw at the last car park. And then this bridge here just crosses over into another little arm that goes off, the Priest branch, is that right? And down to another marina. This bridge is called a roving bridge, which we weren't sure what the heck that meant. But we think perhaps it just means a footbridge or a walking bridge. And I always feel like I have to duck my head even though it's not anywhere near me. And that looks like a lovely branch down there actually. Rural areas again. But we're heading on towards Llangollen. About to step out onto one of the rarest habitats on Earth, apparently. There you go. Hard to see, but through the trees you might be able to see the water of Colwyn. It's a beautiful part of the canal. pretty artfully, I have to say. And then we're going to find a mooring just up there, I think. Nice and close to town and Tesco. What does Tesco mean, Gary?
It means Tesco. Oh, it means jam donuts.
It means jam donuts. It's the Ellesmere Arm, where we've just spent a delightful couple of days. That's Beach House, which used to be the Canal River Trust headquarters, and it was where Thomas Telford worked on his famous aqueduct. The yards next door are still in use for making gate paddles and other such things. Gary doesn't like me mentioning the weather, but it's just starting to rain. Part of the Llangollen from Ellesmere towards Chirk is very winding, and quite a few bridges with blind turns, so it can be a bit tough to see what's coming in the other direction. They're a bit cute. Chirk. Pretty peaceful. The only noise really has been the birds. We love these little cottages on Chirk Bank, and what we love more is that the numbers are in the style of block numbers. Very cute. Around this little bend onto Chirk Aqueduct, you can see the viaduct there carrying the train line. Now let's see if anyone else is coming the other way. Here we are going onto Chirk Aqueduct. Squeeze. Beautiful scenery on the other side. one-way tunnel, so we have to look down and see if we can see anyone coming, and hope that we're right if we don't. Sounding our horn. So nothing else here, in we go. Have a tow path in it as well, which is quite unusual for tunnels. Oh, not very close to that side. And we're nearly there. The proverbial light at the end of the tunnel is getting bigger. Lovely wooded cutting. A lovely mooring just at the north end of Chirk Tunnel. Very quiet other than some plopping of rain last night. Gary, tell us again, where are we?
Pontcysyllte.
Thank you.
I made that up,
It could be. We're thinking of overdubbing a Welsh person to say the names of the places. They just have lots of consonants in them and not many vowels. One lift bridge done. One aqueduct to go. It's a pretty little town tucked into the hillside. So we're just hanging out in the queue to go across the Pontcysyllte aqueduct. That's as close as I'm gonna get to saying it right. We're very much assuming there's nothing coming the other direction because we have two boats going our way that have already gone onto it. So we enter a very long bathtub. Could walk along the tow path. This angle, it literally looks like there's nothing keeping us in there. There is a very thin strip of metal. Morning.
There's quite a
There is, isn't there?
It'll be chaos down there.
Oh, a bit windy up here too. This is quite an experience. Also wouldn't want to be up here on a super windy day.
Well,
It is windy enough.
not windy.
No, I know. See the height of us by the little people down in the paddock in the field. Very cool. Huh? So our intention for tonight had been to moor in Trevor Basin. The Nicholson's guide had said that there were some good moorings down here. There's about 3 spots and they've kind of, looks like, been taken by people who've been here for a little while. So not so much visitor mooring. The Anglo-Welsh hire base is down here, so that takes up quite a bit of room too. So moving on to plan B, which we're making as we speak. Alright, so scratch that. Plan B is that plan A is actually the right plan and we're staying here after all. Just spoke to a lovely Canal and River Trust volunteer who assures us that these pins right here are for 14 days if we want them, and we only really want them for tonight. So we have a mooring spot in Trevor after all. So this was we weren't sure that it was a mooring in Trevor Basin. Turned out it was. I'm just walking up to the junction because we're getting ready to leave. And it's a good idea to check if there's any boats coming because it's quite a narrow junction. Certainly a busy morning with hire boaters returning and soon to be borrowing out their hire boats. Hard to know what changeover day is. It's Friday today. Some of them seem to be Friday, some Saturday. There's the aqueduct boat coming over already. They start pretty early. And walking through, this is where we have to turn. That's a pretty narrow one. There's the early morning flotilla of boats. Doesn't seem to matter how early you get up, there's streams of people coming through, possibly returning boats. That could also be true. This is the one of the hire bases for Anglo-Welsh boats. So just capturing some of this morning's madness. We should have left about half an hour ago. So Gary's threading that needle. These literally are returning their boats. So we've done the turn and we're on the final stretch to Llangollen, which is also the narrowest stretch and the shallowest stretch. And there will be some bits ahead where I need to get off the boat because it's only one boat can go through at a time, so I'll have to warn Gary if there's anything coming. When we were told that the Llangollen was very pretty, they weren't wrong. Just hills and valleys and canoeists. Not what we were expecting to be, but there you go. This is the end of one of the narrow stretches. There's signs like that to tell you where they are. And I've come on ahead to let Gary and the few boats behind him know that it's all clear and that they're free to go. There is one passing place in there that's big enough for a couple of boats, but you wouldn't want to meet too many on that stretch, or you'd be doing some reversing. So a bit of insight into how narrow it is. It's pretty much like that all the way along that short stretch. Got some beautiful views though. We had a gentleman walking past warning us of something and we weren't sure what it was because we didn't quite hear him properly, but it turned out to be cows in the water. Oh, delightful. The one's doing a poop. Clearly a good spot to come down and have a drink, a bit of bathe.
So we're coming through another narrow section towards Llangollen. As you can see, it's a steep cliff on one side and there's only enough room for one boat each way, so you have to send someone ahead to see if the way is clear. So we're just coming into Llangollen now.
steering our boat, and we're going to get a horse to do it instead today, taking the horse-drawn tour down to Horseshoe Falls.
1 horsepower instead of 42 horsepower.
Yeah.
We've decided we're down there apparently.
Oh, come and join the journey.
Thank you.
The fact that the spider is there, and got a horizontal print there at the same time. You can tell it was quite windy.
This is Harley, our 1 horsepower for today.
Oh, we've got look at the camera.
So there he is. Quite a way ahead of us, really. And it's so quiet. So we just pass in the entrance to the basin, wave at our boat. There she is. Sorry, we're not really leaving you. We're just temporarily on a different boat. But it means we get to go down this part that we're not normally allowed. Harley's doing a great. So this is the only boat we're likely to see coming the other way, and that's the other trip boat coming back from its 45-minute turnaround tours. Harley's not doing what he's told.
Sink the rope under the boat.
Oh yeah. Can't really take great footage of this. And then we drift over to the side. Sometimes horsepower is not enough, and we need people power. And Harley gets to have a moment to eat. That's it, the end of our journey and mooring up. So we've arrived at Horseshoe Falls, and so have Bearded Men Adventures with their very inflatable rafts. Sounds like an adventure. Is that their destination? Bridge Hotel over the River Dee. This is the chain bridge. And we're on our way back. Can't really see Harley because he's up the front and we're down the back. But we have commented already that you can feel it moving quicker because we're going with the flow this time. A very peaceful way to spend an afternoon. That horrible noise you hear is us scraping on the bottom. Seems to happen as we get close to the bridge. We meet the other boat coming back again. Get to pass on this side this time. Lions, the other horse. Mooring for the last couple of nights in the Llangollen Basin. Doesn't get much better than this. It's just beautiful. Very peaceful. 5-minute walk into town. Up over the path and over the bridge. And to back in because we've got short pontoons that you tie onto. But we've had beautiful weather. Overall, it's just a great place to stay. £13 a night, but you do get electricity and water and LSM and rubbish disposal for that. And you also get the fact that you're allowed to stay here in such a beautiful spot and close to everything that you could possibly want to do. So it'll be a reluctant goodbye that we say tomorrow. Early morning, well, not that early in Llangollen. We're on our way out, so I'm just walking down to check that there's nothing coming. Up over the tops of Llangollen. Lovely little town. You can already see that she moves faster, even just on tick over, going in this direction. And the route planner that we use for the canals has basically said it should be an hour shorter for each of the segments going the other way. So you can certainly notice the difference of the flow. Said that if we'd seen a canoe hire place, we would definitely have canoed or kayaked down some of this. I don't think they're for hire. I think he's a group arranger. There were a few of those that we saw yesterday. Describes this part of the canal as little more than a narrow trough clinging to the hillside. It's not wrong. If the trees weren't there, you'd get spectacular views, but I'm quite grateful that they are because it stops that sense of vertigo that I'm sure would also be there.
waiting at the Pontcysyllte aqueduct for some canoes to come across, and then probably it'll be our turn to go.
So here we are going back onto the aqueduct. There really isn't much separating you from the edge, is there? Okay. Morning. Hopefully not afraid of heights, because there's really not much between you and that. Wasn't me, Gary. Back to White House Tunnel. Just slowing down and pulling over a bit to see if there's anything coming. It'll be interesting to see if we're any quicker going through, because it certainly felt slow coming through Chirk Tunnel in this one on the way up, so we'll see if the flow does make a difference. Get ready for the horn, people. There it is, nothing coming the other way, but just to pre-warn them in case. Pretty easy to see through this one so that you can see whether anything's coming. But this cutting in Chirk is just lovely. You can't tell that you've actually got an industrial estate just over the embankment there, including a factory that's part of the Cadbury Empire. Down here it's just peaceful. It's lovely. Quite an interesting place to build a house, right next to the bridge, and obviously making use of some brickwork that was there already. Just interesting. Sometimes you just come around the bend and you wing it and you really hope there's nothing coming the other way. Rather stunning spot. Don't know that moorings get much better than that.
So we're back at Grindley Brook staircase locks. I'm in the middle pound at the moment of the lock, the middle chamber rather. Going down time to that big gate behind us. Pretty imposing, isn't it? And the big gates in front of us to lead us into the bottom chamber. Just opening up now.
So this is our last little stint on the Llangollen Canal. We've just got 9 locks which we're hoping to get through today, back to Ellesmere, and then to turn off back onto the Shropshire Union. We were just saying we've past the mooring that we had on the way down at Wrenbury, and it feels like forever since we moored there. I suppose it has been a few weeks. Yeah. So we've taken this one really slowly. Haven't had very big cruising days, and we've definitely had a few places where we just didn't move for the day, including a few days at Wrenbury over the last few days as well. So yeah, kind of sad to say goodbye to Llangollen, but looking forward to some new adventures as we keep on cruising further north.
Everybody says it's their favourite canal, and I can see why.
Yeah, it's beautiful canal, very peaceful, very rural.
If a little bit busy, even at this time of year.
It's been a little bit busy, but not as bad as I thought. People were saying that in summer it will be terrible, but obviously the UK is not really having summer right now, although we are wearing sunglasses and hats, so today perhaps might be the start of it.